Welcome back. I'm Brandon, the HBAR Bull, once again joined by Zepsi. We both do some contract work for the HBAR Foundation, but we don't do these weekly updates in any official capacity. We're just coming to you personally to give you the latest in the Hedera ecosystem. Welcome back, Zep.
How's it going, Brandon?
It's going good, but as always, none of this is financial advice. Use it for educational or entertainment purposes only. So the highlight of my week was an interview with Mike Maloney. I wasn't interviewing him; he was interviewing me. I was giving him an update on the Hedera ecosystem. It was a lot of fun. It's going to be posted on his channel on Sunday at 11 a.m. Eastern, and I have a highlight, real quick, a teaser to show everybody. None of my opinions that I'm about to say have anything to do with the HBAR Foundation. They are just my own personal opinions. I started out as an HBAR investor and just got more and more captured by the potential of the network. I'm building my own application in the space, but I think what we really need to look at when it comes to the HBAR is these things that are being built as we watch and these different use cases come online. Why we get excited about TPS is because of the revenue that it generates for the network. And I've already explained how that works and what it's used for. It's used for building out the network, incentivizing nodes and token holders. That is the same way that you might judge a company. And I think in the future, we're going to do the same thing with these digital platforms, that you're going to look at what's being built, how much revenue is being produced, and what is that going to do for the holder of these assets. And when you look at Hedera, you don't have to pay attention to the price. The price is going to be super volatile, influenced by all kinds of things from FTX exploding and everything else. But it's really these use cases that are being built on Hedera that will drive that revenue and bring value to the network.
Well, this has been an excellent update. And for anybody that's interested in following this, Brandon has weekly updates on his channel, the HBAR Bull. So go over there and take a look at it. I want to thank you, Brandon, so much for being here. Do you have anything else you want to say about your channel?
No, not too much. But like you said, we go through everything that's being built and the entire ecosystem. Every Friday afternoon, it comes out. So everybody's welcome to come in. Thank you so much, Mike. It's been a pleasure and an honor. So they were pretty happy with the results. So they're going to show it as an instant premiere. Again, that's going to be at 11 a.m. Eastern on Sunday. The instant premiere just allows it to pretty much be like a live stream initially. So there's going to be an active chat. I'll be in there. I want to try to get the troops going in the Hedera community, get all the HBARbarians out there and engage, because he's interested in possibly doing either a quarterly or a monthly update as well. So that's certainly going to be fun. All right. So the next thing I wanted to get into, Zep, is Unthink AI. Of course, AI right now is really exciting. It's the hot topic, and there's a lot of exciting things going on, and it's great that we're leveraging some of that in the space. Can you give us an update?
Yeah, definitely. I think like you said, it's very timely. We've had two projects now. Originally, Humans.ai, based out of Dubai with DCA4 advisory. They've done their amazing sort of AI NFTs. So really ticking off two of the mega buzzwords there. But also, we've got this new one with Unthink. And so Unthink are essentially a sort of decentralized e-commerce platform that integrates both AI and Web3 technology to basically make sure that anyone seeing an advert, that the advert is relevant to them. So, I think the stat that they put out was that 44% of ad revenue is essentially digital ad revenue online is essentially wasted because people are met with adverts that don't apply to them. They're met with content that doesn't apply to them. And so there's no click through. They just see it. They see it as an advert and they go, that's just annoying. There's nothing more annoying than seeing an advert that is there and it has no relevance. And so using whatever algorithm they've created in-house, they've worked together with content creators and Hedera to create this sort of all-encompassing content engine / advertising platform that enables you to turn a thought into a sort of blog within minutes, and then have that blog or whatever it is, piece of content, matched with the right item through their partnerships with online distributors, so that not only do users see an advert that applies to them, they can also read what applies to them as well. So this is a way of just making advertising much more engaging, much more relevant. And then within that platform, they've actually developed sort of a sort of creator tier based system whereby creators are awarded with Hedera NFTs for their work, and those NFTs can be redeemed for, various perks and accessories or accessibilities down the line. So yeah, it's a real tying together of AI and Web3 with NFTs. And so I'm interested to see where they're going there. And, it seems like they've had some good reception so far. So yeah, glad that we're part of that AI narrative and glad that Unthink's on side.
Yeah, fascinating stuff. I do have a quote from Tina. She's the CEO and co-founder of Unthink. We're excited to bring new earnings opportunity to content creators while increasing ROI for brand marketing spend. Leveraging AI and the cutting-edge Hedera network, we're enabling e-commerce to be as efficient and engaging as possible. And then Pete Mensa, he's the head of payments at the HBAR Foundation. He said, using just 2 sentences, the platform can dictate a blog and match products almost instantly. We look forward to introducing the new customers and creators attracted to the innovations of Unthink to Hedera NFTs. And this has been picked up in the media as well. So everything that's being built within the Hedera ecosystem is certainly catching the attention of this one author at CoinGape. He said, Hedera is making significant progress despite the fact that the broader cryptocurrency market is experiencing a roller coaster ride. The network's performance has been able to distinguish it from the rest of the crypto space, and this distinction has attracted the interest of the crypto community and developers alike. He went on to specifically talk about Unthink AI, saying, with new products being launched on the network, the latest entry from Unthink AI allows the Hashgraph-powered Layer 1 solution to leave a mark in the brewing AI industry. So really exciting, Zep. And this week we have a new segment with Rob Allen. He is the Senior Vice President in charge of Ecosystem Acceleration at the HBAR Foundation and always has fantastic insights. So let's listen in. As mentioned, we're going to start doing a weekly segment with Rob Allen. He's the SVP of Ecosystem Development at the HBAR Foundation on some random Hedera topics. Welcome, Rob.
Hey, Brandon. Yeah, random's right. Let's have some fun.
That's it. So, Rob, this week I wanted to ask what in the Hedera space has you most excited right now?
Okay, so I'm permanently excited about the stuff that we're doing with Wares, with the Guardian ecosystem. But to kick off this week, I thought I'd talk about some of the amazing stuff that Alex Russman's doing on the Metaverse Fund for the foundation, and in particular Liithos, because little known fact, I used to be a massive comic book geek when I was growing up. I was really into, the collecting superhero comics. I was a gamer when tabletop games were a thing, and now Henry Cavill is big on Warhammer 40K. I think it's a thing again, so that's cool. And what Liithos are doing and what Alex has kind of enabled them for using Hedera is just quite incredible. This is for me, the mass adoption moment for gaming. Games have been very resistant to blockchain for years. We know this because NFTs were tarnished with some bad publicity around sustainability because of Ethereum and similar blockchain models. But what Hedera, as we know, has got is this crazy speed, super low cost, and native tokenization. So all of these things come together and enable some amazing experiences. And what we've got in Liithos, it's the right word, the legendary founders of The Last of Us and Uncharted and all those other games that came out of the Sony stable, now focused on building AAA gaming in the Hedera ecosystem. So this is for me an amazing step, right? We're seeing weekly Ashfall NFT drops, which are driving everyone crazy. We're seeing crossovers to TikTok and Michael Lee and what they're doing with the video snippets around discovery and experimentation with the old kind of Sunday, comic strip theme, but brought into the Web3 space. all of this growing community
And all those things are being done at scale, right?
at scale right now. Okay, so I mean, you just need to see the new accounts being created for that purpose. If we go, as we probably will, I have no doubt, with a AAA game like Ashfall and go to tens of millions of users, which is fairly typical for AAA games. I did a quick kind of some napkin maths just now. I reckon 10 million new accounts at 5 cents an account creation will fund the operation of the Hedera network as it stands, right? So that's just account creation for one game. And as it launches in, I don't know when it's going to launch, but let's say within the next couple of years, that's a huge metric. It's one game. That's not considering token transfers and all the other network fees that we gather, just on account creation. So this is still in the realm of experimentation and discovery, but with Ubisoft on the governing council, with a number of other games in the pipeline, which are some have been announced and some haven't. I think this is a real, I'd say a mass adoption moment, and I'm super, super excited about that. I mean, there's a couple of other things that are worthy to talk about in the metaverse area, but I'll hand that back to you right now. I mean, what do you think about Liithos? How do you feel from your perspective how things are going? Because I just think it's crazy.
I've been focused more on the day-to-day, like you said, the huge amount of account creation. I look on Metrica and I see the amount of NFTs they're creating. I hadn't actually thought to the scale that you're thinking of. That's not where my mind had gone yet, but now it's obviously there. So yeah, I mean, Liithos is amazing, and like you said, they have the pedigree to get us where we need to go.
Yeah, they really do. And this is just one game. They've got plans for a number of games. I had the honor, in fact, the whole team, the whole foundation team had the honor to meet Michael Mumba, in San Diego last year. Mm-hmm. And the breadth of his vision for this gaming ecosystem, all built on Hedera, is amazing. So there are some really exciting new games kind of beyond Ashfall. And it's not just him. I mean, he's created an amazing team and has relationships all over the place. And you only need to see who he's connected to on LinkedIn to know that there's only one degree of separation between some of the biggest studios in the world, some of the biggest decision makers in film studios, in gaming studios, and now in Web3. So I think this is definitely something to be watched. And what I loved this week, there was a crossover event. In comic books, we have crossover events, which everyone loves. There was a key crossover event in the Hedera ecosystem this week when Liithos teamed up with Dead Pixels, right? So we had there were Easter eggs and Ghost Pass was given away, which are going for crazy money, by the way, in advance of Drop 4. So that was a really interesting kind of combination and alignment of other ecosystem partners in this space, and I'm sure there will be more. So that was exciting as well. The biggest names in the world kind of aligning and combining and introducing fun into the ecosystem with newcomers, but also creating a buzz of their own.
Yeah, so Liithos is going to be a blast to follow all the way through. But what about your day job in ecosystem development? What are things looking like in that department?
Well, we've announced a few accelerator partners in the acceleration ecosystem. So Outlier Ventures has run 2 successful cohorts now. Lumos Labs in India were insanely busy. They had 500 applicants into their first cohort, which we had to whittle down to 10 finalists and 3 winners. And we gave $50,000 prizes to those 3 winners who certainly deserved it. And we're about to announce a big APAC accelerator as well, with a focus on education, on establishing communities across the Asia Pacific region. And then we're kind of learning from all of these experiences, and some of the winners of the previous cohorts. And we've got very different styles to each of the accelerators. But I mean, you will have heard of some of the ones that have come out of Outlier, like Dropper, which is a gaming launchpad, an NFT marketplace that's kind of starting to make some noise. Hash Guild, another NFT marketplace. Zimbali keeps on kind of coming up. They're sort of doing some incredible things around cross-border payments and financial inclusion, which is a subject very close to my heart. And then that was just the first cohort for Outlier Ventures, and there were a bunch of others who are kind of hot on their heels. The second cohort, CodeMonk, which is a corporate technical talent for hire business being run as a DAO, which is super exciting. Cryptum, which is APIs and tooling for the Web3 ecosystem. Locker Room, you may have heard about, is a sports fan experience platform for Web3, which is really cool. And then on the Lumos side, we've had Carpine, which is a supply chain track and trace use case with some pretty big users already kind of signed up. Street Money, which is more NFT tooling, and also A.Live, which I think is particularly interesting because they're creating metaverses around songs. So their concept is the song is the unit of value, and then interactions, community, benefits all kind of align around a particular song that everyone kind of loves. So I love all those ideas, and this is the benefit of being part of the accelerator ecosystem, because we have such a range of ideas, and the hard thing is actually choosing between them. But it's a good problem to have. So those are the things that I'm super excited about this week. Next week will be very different, I'm sure. What about you, Brandon? What's flipping your switches this week?
Oh, man. So I guess one of them is something that you brought to my attention, and that's Fresh Supply Co. And that's for a few different reasons. Now, I'm sure you have some information that you can't get out there, but, I like the unknown about it. Now, David gave us some information, and David is the CEO of Fresh Supply Co. It's supply chain tracking, but what was really interesting is they were the biggest customer of a private blockchain solution put out by MasterCard. I think it was called MasterCard Provenance. And they found out that they don't really want to run a business like that. And but because Fresh Supply Co. was the biggest user of it, they sunset that product and they have to find another solution. And they're going to be going with Hedera. And besides the supply chain aspect, and we've heard so many great supply chain use cases within the Hedera ecosystem, there's also some payment rails that MasterCard had working in their solution as well. And that's also going to move over to Hedera. So I'm really curious to see what that rail looks like, what those payment rails look like. And also, because MasterCard was involved with it before, are they going to be involved somehow with the Hedera solution, as well? And I know you probably have some information that you can't share about that, but it's that unknown that's fun in the Hedera ecosystem to speculate and wonder about how things are going to be coming out.
Yeah, I mean, I can't. You're right, but what David has talked about in public is, the benefits to the Fresh Supply company of doing what they're doing. They're being forced off of MasterCard Provenance, but that's a good thing, right? For them. They're first movers then they've selected Hedera because of its credibility, because of its governance in particular. And we keep on coming back to this as the key innovation of this space and the Hedera space. But not only that, because they're first movers and they are seen as the largest users of MasterCard Provenance, and they're building this abstraction layer on top of Hedera, which enables all the things that Provenance had done previously. They are a natural service provider to all the other users of Provenance. So there's a whole new business area, revenue stream opening up for Fresh Supply. So not only is it supply chain is almost the BAU operation. What's now opening up is the ability to provide the source of things that Hedera can provide into that ecosystem, plus the links into MasterCard. So all the payment triggers that David talks about was key for provenance and will continue to be key for the Fresh Supply platform. And then there's financing and trade financing, all those use cases which enable these supply chains to remove friction and operate a lot more slick, which is exactly where David's thinking of taking this. So I mean, there's some amazing things to come up. For the MasterCard relationship, as with all of these big corporates, is a slower burn, but we're certainly on their radar now.
Oh, well, good to hear. And really, I'd be lying if I didn't say that I wasn't excited about Twigital. That's my company. You've been aware of what we've been building with Twigital for a long time. We've been doing this for 18 months or so, and it's been a long journey, but we're getting to the point where we're actually getting our hands on things. The app has actually been completed. And, when I put my entrepreneurial hat on, the thing that I'm excited about is now that we're actually able to play with this, Jesse, the other co-founder, he's at this point a photogrammetry expert, and he's playing around with our app and creating some really impressive assets. And just to give everybody an idea of what it does, it allows you to create 3D objects using photogrammetry in the app and then mint that into a Hedera NFT. And we think that's the best way to wrap pretty much any physical object for use throughout Web3. And so Jesse's playing with it. He's having some great results. But what's also fun is our development partner, Saison, is playing around with it. They want to make sure it works, right? And they're starting to Twigitize things in their office. And they're actually getting some really good results and having fun doing it. So we know we're going to have some good market fit there. So that's what has me excited on the entrepreneurial side. And then when I take that hat off and put on my HBARbarian hat, what I get excited about, we talked about all these supply chain use cases throughout Hedera. And, we have Atma.io. And the reason why we get excited about the massive TPS isn't really about the TPS itself. It's about the revenue that can bring to bear for Hedera, for building out the ecosystem, for incentivizing nodes, for incentivizing token holders. But those are really low value transactions. There's only 1/100th of a cent. Well, you compare that to an HTS transaction, and that's 1/10 of a cent. So those, if you have applications that are built using HTS, that brings in more revenue per transaction. The reason why I get excited about DeFi is because for the most part, DeFi uses smart contracts, right? And for every single one of those calls, it's 5 cents. So it's 500 times more valuable for the Hedera network than an HCS transaction, or 50 times more valuable than an HTS transaction. Well, in the case of Twigital, every single one of those transactions is a 1-for-1 NFT. When you actually mint your NFT, it's a 1-for-1, which is $1 every single time. So we could just have, a moderate amount of success. And, if we had people, and this is not too small, but 10,000 Twigitals being minted a day. That's reasonable. That's a lot of revenue per day for the Hedera network. And, I think it could scale even further than that. So that's what I'm excited about. We're having fun with Twigital, and we're excited to see where it goes from here. But Rob, is there anything else you'd like to pass on before we let you go?
Well, I've always loved Twigital. I've loved the concept, and I've been on the journey as you've refined the ideas and got to this point. You shared with me the video of some of the operation of it, and it just does look pretty amazing. And I agree with you. Those high value transaction fees, as they scale, will make a massive difference. HCS is kind of the background activity on the network, and by design, Lehman and Mance have designed it like that, and the governing council continue to support the pricing mechanisms and the rates for each of the different types of network fee. But the really high value ones, like we said earlier, Liithos, 10 million accounts created. That's a lot of money for the network, and the reason for that is because it has to be self-sustaining. At some point we'll get to that switch over, that flip, where there's the majority of HBAR in distribution, and the network has got to be self-sustaining, and the HBAR price has got to be high enough to actually secure the network. So that's the reason that we've got this controlled rollout, this path to decentralization. And all of these elements are part of it. And the plan is being executed perfectly at the moment, from my perspective. So I'm excited about that. I want to talk about Koala Cup next week, because I've got a call with Ant Middleton and the Koala guys and Koala Sanctuary this afternoon. So I'll update you on that next week if they haven't already. And there's a load of new stuff as well that's just kind of bubbling away. So I'm going to be in this permanent state of excitement on Shark Bites.
All right. Well, that's awesome, Rob. Thank you so much for swinging by, and we'll see you next week.
Thanks, Brandon. Cheers. Bye.
Really great to hear Rob's insights there, and yours as well. You know, Rob is, like you said, one of the greatest ambassadors we could possibly have. I mean, even long before that, I was working in any capacity alongside him. He was the one that I'd listen to talk, and I'd be blown away. Some of his earliest interviews are some of the ones that stand out the most to me and really turned me into a real HBAR variant. So yeah, great to have that insight there, and I'm looking forward to hearing more of those.
Yeah, exactly. And his insights are exactly why I think this is going to be great to do every week. So shifting gears a little bit, I had another really good conversation with the CEO of Pangolin Dex. They just came out with super farms, including the HBAR rewards alongside their native cryptocurrency of PBAR. So listen into that one as well. Justin, how has the launch of Pangolin Hedera and subsequent addition of super farms offering HBAR rewards gone so far?
Yeah, I think it's gone pretty well. So the launch, we experienced quite a few technical issues. So whenever you launch on a new chain, there's some learnings that we picked up. There's certain aspects that we picked up, which we definitely are aware of internally, and which we definitely think we've worked to improve. But we think it went pretty well. We've just crossed 8 million in TVL. So I checked this morning, we're at 3 million in volume, which we're fairly happy with. We really want to push to that next level. One of the things I'm really particularly happy about is that it looked as if it was a fresh influx of liquidity. So what that means is we looked at Heli's and Source's TVL, and we looked at them and tracked how their TVL dropped in relation to ourselves as we launched. So one of the things we wanted to know is, where's this liquidity coming from? Is it coming from other ecosystems, or is it just liquidity moving around within Hedera? And one of the cool things we noticed was that Heli and Saucer went down just a little bit, about approximately 1 million each when we launched, but we've gone to 8 million. So now some of that can be attributed to the price performance of HBAR. But one of the cool things that I'm particularly happy about is that it seems as like there's been a lot of fresh influx of liquidity.
That is fantastic to hear. And I've been using it from day one, and I saw some of those technical issues early on, but right now it's running fine. And I've also noticed that when you initially stake liquidity into a farming pair, your rewards start low and then they build up over a few days. This would disincentivize withdrawing liquidity, but it would also disincentivize compounding. Can you explain this mechanism, its goals, and how participants can compound rewards with minimal impact to those rewards?
Yeah, of course. So this is part of what we call a Sunshine and Rainbows protocol. And really it came about from some of the historical ways that DeFi has occurred, right? So, when DeFi Summer occurred, all of these governance tokens and farming tokens came about. And what happened was it attracted a very mercenary set of capital. Chief among them, actually, Alameda and, the FTX crew. And what they would do was, they would regularly compound and absolutely dominate and dump that token, right? So they'd come in with millions of dollars of capital, get that token, farm it, and then dump it on the community, and ultimately leave a lot of retail traders, not so happy. So in Ethereum, one of the kind of combatants to this approach was V tokenomics, vote escrow tokenomics. And we looked at a way, and we looked at kind of first principles. What are we trying to solve? We want sticky liquidity. So we want liquidity to be loyal, but we also want to reward people that are loyal. So that's why Sunshine and Rainbows came about. When we say that it rewards longer people, it's because it rewards you based upon the average duration. So if you come into, let's say, a farm or single-sided staking, and you come in there just to quickly dump, like some of this predatory capital, you're not going to get rewarded. Whereas if you leave your capital in there for like a month or 2 months, your APRs are going to go up significantly, therefore rewarding people that are more loyal. In terms of compounding, you can compound. So you can only compound into certain pairs. So what that means is, let's say you're farming PBAR, HBAR, you can compound back into that pair. And what that'll mean is, because it's an average, let's say you've got $100 and then you compound $10, your average will change because the $100 will keep getting the high APR, but that new $10 will again start from zero and go up. So that's the kind of mechanism.
Okay, that makes perfect sense. So what's next for Pangolin Hedera?
So governance is key. We want to, as part of us, we're community decks, we want to be involved. So we've been looking at the creators Galaxy, so shout out to them. They're doing great work. So they've got like a snapshot, which will hopefully we can leverage that to start getting some engagement with governance. We want to post a few things, but we want to make sure that the community is aware of what we're doing and are aligned. So governance is key. And then obviously concentrated liquidity. So one of the issues with, kind of the XY equals K DEX is that it's very good for kind of long tail assets, but for blue chips, it's not as capital efficient. So when you swap 100 USDC to 100 USDT, you want your users to get the minimal price impact, and concentrated liquidity will allow us to be much more capital efficient. So we're definitely going to be doing concentrated liquidity pretty soon. I don't have a deadline or a date, but we're working internally quite hard on it.
All right, great to hear. So let's zoom out a little bit. What do you think the potential for DeFi long term is?
I think it takes over. I think it seriously threatens banks' kind of monopoly or oligarchy on the world. So I think that's what scares a lot of people and politicians and regulators. I don't see how DeFi doesn't take over personally. As an example, I recently took a loan from the bank. It took me about a week to get the documentation ready to submit. I then got 8% interest here in Australia. The interest rates are going up. And then I was like, well, why am I doing this? I could go to Aave. I don't want to sell any of my Bitcoin or my other holdings. So I took a loan on Aave. They're actually paying me 0.5%. And I got the money instantly. I didn't have to phone anyone. I didn't have to submit any forms. Just that use case alone is so much better than anything a real world bank can offer me today. So, and as these use cases expand, I just don't think banks can compete with that.
I think you're exactly right. I think it's a big threat, but I think a lot of companies that integrate it into the way they're doing business, I think they'll do well, but then there's going to be others that are resistant to it, and those are the ones that are going to run into trouble. Justin, thank you so much for swinging by today. We really appreciate it, and we're having fun with Pangolin, so keep it up.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. Appreciate it.
Yeah, Pangolin is definitely making their mark, and the rewards are really impressive on that DEX right now. Of course, there's always risks in DeFi, but it's certainly something fun to play around with. So, Zep, we have ETH Denver going on right now. Can you give us any updates of Hedera's presence there?
Yeah, I mean, one thing that we've covered quite recently is the amount of developer activity that we've seen growing on the network. And, a lot of this is to do with what the team at Swartz Labs are doing, which is, they've got Matt Woodward, who's the senior DevRel, I believe. He's doing a lot on developer relations and this kind of work. And so at ETH Denver, we have Developer DAO, which are a multi-chain decentralized autonomous organization for Web3 devs in particular. And so we've got an event with them, a sort of a coding event, I think an introduction to Hedera, this kind of stuff. And the best news is that it's sold out. So I think they sold it's 120 capacity, and they've sold 350 tickets to in case there's any attrition, people moving out, moving in, so that everyone can really get the experience of Hedera there. So that's been brilliant to see. And I'm really excited. Obviously not everyone there will turn into a massive Hedera dev, but it's that kind of exposure where you'll get a good percentage of them hopefully becoming curious, coming down the rabbit hole, and then seeing that, A, it's a good place to develop, but B, the power of the hash graph and the caliber of some of the teams working over here.
And staying in the development space, we have the Sustainable Blockchain Summit Boston Hackathon. That's being sponsored by Filecoin, Climate Collective, Hyphen, and of course the HBAR Foundation. So right now we are in the ideation phase. The next phase is going to be the prototype phase, and that's going to start on March 6th. And then we have the hackathon finale in April. As far as the HBAR Foundation rewards, first prize is $10,000 in HBAR, and that's for the best new Guardian open source methodology on Hedera. And then there's going to be a second prize in that category as well for $5,000. And third prize is going to be $2,500, and that's going to be specifically for Guardian ecosystem tooling. And then we also have something coming out of JoeGet. Shout out to Milan, because this one's a codeless blockchain hackathon. Do you have any information on that one, Zep?
So JoeGet, I think, was brought into the foundation by Sabrina, who's our head of fintech and payments. And she's been working closely with them to really get, again, as many developers as possible into the ecosystem. And like you said, Milan is our king of the no code. And no code is becoming a real new thing. I've seen it trending on Twitter a few times. And it's that kind of accessibility into the network that will enable people who have brilliant ideas but can't necessarily develop to really be able to, work on their business, work on their prototypes, and bring a sort of idea into, I guess, real development. And so, yeah, they're out there in, I think it's in, I'm not actually sure where it is. I'll have to double check there. But their room was packed out. Again, a lot of new, young, ambitious HBAR barons in the room there. So again, hopefully we'll get some good sort of turnover there from those people into actually developing on Hedera after that event. But also quickly, when we were talking about the Sustainable Blockchain Summit hackathon, I was actually at a refi event on Wednesday, so 2 days ago, and I was there with Anya, who's the part of the Sustainable Impact Fund. She works with Rob, she works with Wes, she works with Jonathan, and we were there, and I was talking to loads of different people from that's CELO, whether that's Climate Collective, whether that's Toucan Protocol. There's loads of different people there. And the one thing they always shared when I said, I work for the foundation, Wes is the lead there. Everyone understood Wes as one of the great thought leaders in the space. So that, was great to see that, Wes is getting that recognition he deserves. We saw him in Cointelegraph as one of the top 100 people in the Web3 space. We know what he's been doing with The Guardian to get mainstream adoption into Hedera and Web3. And, his 5 investment part thesis, and obviously that was with Anya, that was with Jonathan, that was the whole SIF and some of Swords as well. But just to see, the respect that Wes is getting in that, in that subsection of Web3 is really exciting to see. And I'm sure that's only going to grow as refi grows.
Like you said, it's well-deserved, and the refi space, especially in Hedera, is going to be huge. It's pretty clear at this point. And Zep, staying in the development vein, you wanted to focus on some smart contract development we have on, or some highlights around that. What do you have?
Yeah, so there is a Twitter profile called Naked Crypto Data where they publish data from all the smart contract chains. I don't know exactly where they pull their data from, but there's no bias. They work with all the smart contract chains. Some weeks we're in the lead, some weeks we're in the middle, and so whatever they're doing, it's not biased. But from this week's weekly smart chain development update, where they compile the number of lines added excluding front-end data, configurations, and owned repositories of programming languages, big mouthful there, they put Hedera in the lead. So Hedera is in the lead this week for the amount of lines of code added to our sort of smart chain development within the Hedera ecosystem. I don't know if that's pulled from GitHub. I'm not sure where that's pulled from, but we're above. The second person next to us was Tezos, and we're about 3 times ahead of them this week. And you've got Aptos on there, which obviously created by the Meta team. You've got Cosmos on there. You've got ICP. So yeah, really great to see that the work of the DevRel team, both at the foundation and at Swords and beyond, is definitely making an impact.
Yeah, absolutely, no doubt. And not to be outdone, our general community is doing a great job as well. You highlighted this one tweet from AJ Wrights Crypto. He said, excited on the HBAR I scooped up today after seeing 100 plus comments about it from yesterday's poll. It felt like the right thing to do. Shout out to the HBAR variants. So what caught your eye about this one?
So AJ, I've been following. So since BitBoy started covering Hedera, I thought, got to work out who his sources are, who's writing with him. And so I stumbled across AJ, who works alongside BitBoy. He's like really big into Algorand, but also Cardano and XRP and some other chains. And obviously, they've been covering HBAR a bit more, so HBAR has been on their radar. And he put out a poll early this week, which was saying, which, 2023 and beyond. And the options he put on there were ADA, Cardano, Algorand, and there was a fourth one I can't remember, but it wasn't HBAR. And then we commented on that, saying, what about HBAR just being a bit cheeky? And then all of a sudden, 100 other HBAR variants commented. And so that took him, obviously caught his attention, the power of the HBAR community. And then he put out this tweet, saying, like you just said, excited on HBAR, scooped up today. And this tweet now has almost 700 likes. It's got 37.8 thousand views, 101 retweets, and over 140 comments. So if that doesn't show the power of the Hedera community, I don't know what does. I mean, even I think I saw so the Great Moonshot, they compile data as well for the Hedera ecosystem and beyond. We are currently, in terms of social engagements on Twitter, 4 times above Chainlink, which are of course higher than us by market cap, more than double Algorand. Last week we were beyond XRP and Polygon and the like. So I mean, the momentum within our community, our online community, is huge, and the one massive differentiating factor there, even beyond how much engagement we're getting, is that it's all organic. It's like you see like SHIB get shilled, you see Luna get shilled, you see all these things trending, and you go on and you look at the comments, you look at who's trending with the hashtag, and it's always bots. It's always the same bots doing the same giveaways, doing the same whatever. It's not real people. Mm-hmm. And then you go on our hashtags and they're real people that you can really engage with, that you can really talk to, both in Discord or Telegram or Twitter Spaces, whatever it is. We are competing with the robots and we're catching up with them. We're ahead of some of our competition in terms of market cap, but we're catching up with some of the top 10 who have these armies of robots, and we're doing it with, just an engaged, intelligent, conversational community. And I can't see that slowing down, and it's just, it's been amazing to watch that growth. So shout out everyone in the HBAR community, of course.
Yeah, and shout out to AJ there. And I also want to give a shout out to Crypto Love. They put out the rankings as per Luna Crush each week. And we always see HBAR to the moon. We see Coinman, the HBAR Barian, and Mason there at the top. So great job to all those guys. And the other thing that I wanted to highlight is, of course, Danny Eads. He does these great Twitter threads. We highlight him every week because he's an absolute detective in the Hedera space. And one of the things that he put out this week that I was really impressed by was his highlighting of Jim Nasser. Jim Nasser is an OG of the OGs in the space. He is the CEO of Acor, which is working in the healthcare space. So certainly go check that one out. And then the second one was something that you wanted to highlight, and again put out by Danny Eads. He had a 10-tweet Twitter thread highlighting Water Ledger. What did you want to talk about with Water Ledger this week?
Yeah, so I mean, Water Ledger, I think maybe the third grantee of the Sustainable Impact Fund. So going back a while. They've got a great team. Katrina is the head of their company, I believe, and they're based out of Australia. And in Australia, it's a very hot place. It's very sparsely populated in some regions, and the outback or whatever, but very densely populated in the cities. And so there is this sort of, water is a finite resource, and particularly so in Australia there. And so these water markets need to be transparent, they need to be audited, they need to be liquid, all of these things that we know that distributed ledger technology can facilitate. So this is another sort of TradFi going into the world of Web3 again. And we first saw them, early last year, and it looks like they're slowly ramping up here. I advise everyone checks out that thread from Danny. They're working with a company called SEC Water, I believe, SEQ Water, and they're working with farmers and dams and all sorts of places. They're the companies that we've been speaking about that are going to go live this quarter. A lot of people have been saying, we've got this big expectation of a lot of the use cases that we announced last year will be going live, and this is clearly one of them. So shout out Danny, of course, for finding this information before any of us.
So Hedera is absolutely a worldwide phenomenon. It's international. We were just talking about Australia. The next thing we want to focus on is a place where we have a fantastic champion in the Middle East. And the one topic we wanted to hit this week is Gulf food. What do you have to tell us about that?
Yeah, so again, we've seen Vignesh Raja, who's an absolute powerhouse within the foundation. He is out there at the moment at Gulf Food 2023, which is a massive event in Dubai, I believe. Where it's this inflection point between tech and food, and just that industry as a whole, whether that's supply chain, whether that's tokenization, whatever it is. But clearly, at the moment, the big thing is the metaverse. This was a narrative that started going properly last year. When Facebook became Meta and all sorts of different things happened. But Vignesh is out there representing the foundation. There's clearly a relationship there with Gulf Food, but with something called the Foodverse. And to me, it looks like this is sort of the metaverse for restaurants, for 3D printing, and all of this kind of stuff. I don't know enough about it. I'm trying to wrap my head around how you can have a metaverse for the food. But I guess it's more the delivery experience, the sort of ordering experience, this kind of thing. So yeah, excited to learn more about that. And definitely, that's Vignesh and DEC for the consultancy firm again out there making big moves for Hedera and Dubai and the Middle East.
Like you said, Vignesh is a force in the Middle East, and we're going to see a lot of good things coming into that. So before we get into network analysis, we had one more thing we wanted to cover. Bambu Meta. What do you have for us on that?
So Bambu Meta has been teased to us a few times, I believe. And we saw a screenshot, I think early this week, of like the Twirls team, the Hedera team, Mance, the foundation, all on a call together with Bambu Meta. And then David, who is one of our main leads at the foundation, he put out a tweet saying, watch this space, don't let this go past. So clearly something is cooking there with Bambu Meta. I don't know the ins and outs. I just know they're working, I believe, with different companies on the consumer engagement side. So that's all I know. I'm guessing we're going to find more about that in real time. But yeah, to see the caliber of everyone on that call with Bambu Meta, it shows to me there's something important going on there. So yeah, hopefully we'll hear more about that soon.
Yeah, we'll keep an eye on it. And actually, before we get into network analysis, I want to give a shout out to Calaxy because they're doing exactly what they said. Do you have any thoughts about what we saw come out of there?
So Calaxy have created the first sort of robust DAO framework on Hedera, which is massive. And there's a distinction we've got to make, which is between the Creators Galaxy protocol and Calaxy app. So the Creators Galaxy protocol is essentially the DAO of the Creator Galaxy, and Calaxy app is one of the applications that's being built under that. So you can see the whole DAO governed by the Calaxy token holders who have they'll have voting rights of what applications get funding, where the treasury goes, advertisement, marketing, this kind of stuff. But Calaxy app is one of the protocols being developed by Calaxy, by the DAO. So you just got to make that separation there. But at the moment, we've got the first DAO vote for Calaxy, which is something called the CGIP, or the Calaxy Creators Galaxy Improvement Proposal, similar to the HIP Hedera Improvement Proposal. They've got CGIP 01 and 02 there. And those will basically kickstart the DAO, kickstart all of the legislation of that DAO. Then I'll be helping enable Calaxy and its community achieve the vision that they put out to begin with. So I'm really excited to be a part of that. And hopefully if CGIP 01 gets passed, then I'll be working there to help facilitate that vision. So go and check out that vote. If you've got your Calaxy tokens, you have complete autonomy to either say yes, no, or abstain. So that's all on the Creators Galaxy protocol Twitter at the moment.
Yeah, and of course we had the token drop the week before. Congratulations, by the way, on your involvement with the DAO. I'm going to grab a hold of Solo, who of course is the CEO or COO of the Calaxy group. We'll catch him next week for a quick interview and give us an update during the next weekly update. All right, let's get into some network analysis. So as far as volume over the past 24 hours, we are up at about 49 million, and we're still seeing some good smart contract calls up at about 22,000 over the past 24. Time to consensus is still sitting just under 5 seconds. Account growth has been pretty strong this week. What do you think on that one, Zep?
Yeah, so we are, what are we on? We are currently up 16% on the week. So we've got 45,890 accounts made this week. So, I think Monday, that means we saw, a week ago today, we saw 12,000 accounts on the day, then 8,000, 9,000, and so on. And I think only 2 weeks ago, we were looking at about 4,000, 3,000, 4,000 accounts being created a day. So obviously that's a very positive trend for us to keep our eyes on. And, we can attribute that to lots of different things. We saw Pangolin get a shout out on BitBoy. I'm sure there was some new accounts from there. Of course, we've had the ongoing work with, Michael Lee and Liithos. And then we've got everything that the community has been doing in terms of raising awareness, building NFTs, and so on. So I'm sure it's the coming together of all these different forces. And hopefully that only continues to rise.
Yep, and as far as our fungible tokens, I'm happy with what I'm seeing with all of our DeFi space. We had a successful lock drop completed by HeliSwap, so we see them in the top 10, and all of our other usual suspects when it comes to DeFi, wrapped HBAR, Sauce, Dovu, USDC, and so forth. And moving on to our NFTs, Ashfall is definitely the name of the game. Any thoughts on our NFTs this week, Zep?
Yes, of course, Ashfall. They've been continuing to kill it with their work with Michael Lee. We also saw Orbis, who are a cross-chain project originally on Ethereum that have branched out into Hedera, done a great job of networking and really getting along with the HBAR variants, and also giving them a platform and introducing them to new people. So yeah, Sonia at Orbis has done a great job just in everything, in rallying support, giving back to the community, and so on. And she had her first drop last week, which I think did well. And they're actually dynamic NFTs, as I understand. So they get revealed over time. You mint, you know quite what you've got, and then it'll evolve, and you'll really see what it is. So yeah, that was really cool to see. And yeah, great to see what they're doing there. I had a call this week with Sai, who's from Hedera Dragons. I learned about his vision. They're doing great stuff there. Not only with their game, Hedera Dragons, but they've got a lot of ideas for a launch pad and lots of other different stuff that I'm sure he'll be talking about at some point. I had a good conversation with Will from Dead Pixels. Great to see what they're doing there, of course. So just all around, the NFT ecosystem is as vitalized as it's always been and more. So yeah, all around good news there.
Yep, and next week I think Rob wants to talk and give us an update on what's going on with koalas, so that's going to be fun as well. And with that out of the way, let's get into DeFi. Looking at SaucerSwap, the total value locked has dropped to about $26 million, and that can be attributed to the drop in HBAR in the broader crypto market, which we'll talk about in a few minutes. Taking a look at SaucerSwap's farming rewards on some of their popular trading pairs, HBAR USDC is at 47%, HBAR Sauce is at 34%, and HBAR is at 15%. As far as their LP rewards, HBAR X is at 0.6%, HBAR Sauce is at 2%, and USDC HBAR is still solid at 7.6%. And taking a look at the new kid on the block, Pangolin, HBAR X is at 45%, USDC HBAR is at 270%, and HBAR PBAR, their native cryptocurrency, is at 610%. And you can see my APRs are a little bit different than the ones listed, and that's because of the Sunshine and Rainbows protocol that was explained earlier. Moving over to HeliSwap, like I mentioned, they had their successful lock drop a few days ago. The Hella price is sitting at just under 8 cents, which is a little bit rich, but it's holding in there, probably because of an impressive farming pool where you're getting nearly 400% in both Hella, MantraDAO's Ohm token, and HBAR. And taking a look at HBAR X, similar to SaucerSwap, you're getting about 15%. And there's actually been some big news with our liquid staking solution, Stater, as well. It looks like the whale that deposited about $750 million HBAR back in August has withdrawn that liquidity. That kind of makes sense because now that we have native staking, it's a little bit safer. So the total value locked on Stater has dropped significantly to just over $500 million HBAR. Now, we don't want to see total value locked going down, but there is a bright side. That has caused the APY to go from about 8.5% up to about 10.5% for those that are participating. The HBAR X exchange rate is sitting at 1.2234 HBAR for every HBAR X. And now on to the crypto and the HBAR market. First, looking at the macro drivers, risk assets, including crypto, tumbled Friday as the Federal Reserve's most closely watched inflation measure, the PCE price index, came in hotter than expected. And of course, that could cause the Fed to be more aggressive in their fight against inflation. Considering that and what we're seeing in the stock market, the crypto market has actually held up pretty well. Bitcoin is off about 3% on the day and about 2.5% on the week. HBAR is down about 4% on the day and about 8% on the week. HBAR has broken some support that was setting up around 8 cents, which is likely going to shift to resistance, and at HBAR's current price of 7.7 cents, we're sitting in an area of support right now. If that breaks, we can see another area of support around 7 cents, and then again at about 6.2 cents. All right, Zep, so that's pretty much all we have. Do you have anything else you'd like to pass on?
I mean, it's just the same. Same as I say every week. Every week we come here, and every week there's more content. There's never a dull week. We've seen us tapping into the AI narrative recently. We've seen our accounts going up. We've seen the 600 TPS continue to persevere. We've seen this tease with Bambu Meta, which is, I think, going to be big for the consumer engagement side of things. We've seen the developer conferences sell out. We've seen developer activity go up. We've seen more hackathons. We've seen in sustainability and refi. We're really seeing a robust, multifaceted ecosystem emerge, and not only emerge, but accelerate. So yeah, all in all, another great week for us to cover. And I'm sure, what I'm really excited about is your interview with Mike Maloney. So yeah, very excited for that as well. That's the creme de la creme.
Thank you very much. It's going to be a fun one for sure. So next week we're going to get Cripsy on. As I mentioned, we're going to get Solo from Calaxy on as well. That interview with Mike Maloney is going to be Sunday again at 11 a.m. Eastern. That's going to be a premiere. So certainly catch that one. That's all we have. We'll see you next week.